I just hear this chaos open up behind me. Like the team's in contact. There's automatic machine guns going off, grenades, explosions, all sorts of stuff. I mean, my stomach was already dropped. My heart was beating. And then next thing you know, it's like, it's real. My name is Nick Jones. I was a staff sergeant in the United States Marine Corps. I was in 4th grade when 9/11 happened, and seeing the Twin Towers coming down, seeing and watching and following like the invasion of Iraq and Afghanistan kind of inspired me to want to serve my country. I started out as a normal infantry Marine. I did a couple deployments as an infantry Marine. I went to the Marine Scout Sniper Platoon. Once I was in the Scout Sniper Platoon and we went to Afghanistan, I learned about MARSOC, which is the Marine Special Operations Command. That's around the time when I was assigned to the 2nd Marine Raider Battalion. Well, and then fast forwarding after I went to Iraq in 2016, we were on a training workup to redeploy again. And teams, they travel a bunch for training. Well, a few guys from my company flew out, and in transit on July 10th of 2017, their C-130 crashed over Mississippi and killed 16 Marines, but 7 of them were from our company. One of them happened to be my best friend. His name was Talon. I got the call that night, and I had to go notify his wife that he's never returning home. It was strange going to all the funerals back to back. It really felt like I had already been, wounded in a sense, because it was just so hard mentally to come out of that and to think that that's okay, to we just got to keep working. It's like nothing happened. The wheel keeps turning. After that deployment, I came home, and it was kind of like my first time realizing that there's something not right. I feel a little bit slower cognitively. I just felt like I was just running on fumes, kind of. I was just having major mental fatigue. But then getting the new orders that we're redeploying, we're going back to a combat zone, I had to step up my game again, and I was like, I got to make sure that my team, my guys and myself are ready to go back to combat. And then fast forwarding to 2020, my team deploys to northern Iraq. And then on March 8th of 2020, my team was tasked with clearing a really large ISIS cave complex. It was up in the mountains. As we start approaching and doing our clears of this cave, I just hear this chaos open up behind me. The team's in contact. There's automatic machine guns going off, grenades, explosions, all sorts of stuff. And then next thing you know, I hear that there's an eagle down. Not even a second later, there's another eagle down. And at that point, my stomach was already dropped. My heart was beating. And then next thing you know, it's like, it's real. I start crawling up, and I get behind these boulders, and I start peeking over them, and I see this body laying there. And they have me pinned down. Well, next thing you know, these legs fly up in the air, and my instinct was I gotta go grab him. And I ran up there, and have my gun in one hand shooting, and then I grab him with the other hand, and I just pull him down the rocks as hard as I could to try to get him to safety. I basically took charge down there, and I started to lead the fight that was down there. And I told the captain, I was like, hey sir, I'm gonna devise a plan, and I'm gonna go back in there, and I'm gonna try to rescue these guys. And on my last attempt, when I went up there, I ended up feeling like I got hit by a dang baseball bat in my leg, and took cover. I went back and I went to the medic, and I was like, hey man, I think I just got shot. My leg hurts, I'm bleeding. And at that point, you don't want to believe it. But then I tried to stand up, and I was like, man, I can't walk. I can barely walk. I can barely put pressure on it. From those actions that day that I took on the mountainside, on August 26th of 2021, I was awarded the Navy Cross, which is the 2nd highest award that you can receive for valor on the battlefield. It was definitely a surreal feeling getting that medal, but it's like I would give this medal back in a heartbeat to have them back. So some of the coping mechanisms that I resorted to while I was working on my mental recovery, especially after the plane crash, I felt like I either needed to drink to fall asleep or take sleeping pills. The last thing that I wanted to do was go into the doctor's office, you know, and tell my medics or whoever it was that like, hey man, like I'm struggling mentally. And because of that, I can't sleep. I can't concentrate. So I drink a bunch of caffeine to stay awake. I take sleeping meds to go to sleep. And then I try to drink to make those thoughts like less vivid. So when my story was heard by Harvard MedTech, it was really cool to see the response that they took about it. You know, it was almost like there was no questions. They were like, we want to help this guy. Let's at least send him a headset and see how it works out. But I felt so stuck. And then when I got this headset in the mail and I got walked through all the steps, like you'll be paired with a clinician, you'll have weekly check-ins. I was kind of overwhelmed at the beginning because I was like, man, I'm doing all this other stuff. But as soon as I put the headset on and I started playing around with all the different like sections and programs that you could do in there, I really started to learn a lot. And then I also started to like realize that I can practice this almost any time of the day when I'm at home. I continued to use the headset. I continued to have our weekly checkups. At the beginning, I told my wife, I was like, I don't know if it's a placebo, but I was like, I think that when I actually do this, I don't really feel much pain. It's like I forget about it. And then like with the pairing of the clinician, it gave me something weekly to look forward to because I could kind of map out my like emotional stressors or my physical pain or rehabilitation throughout the week. I couldn't even wear an ankle sock for more than 5 minutes. I was able to achieve an elk hunt in the snowy Montana mountains. I have done quite a few hikes and goals that I've set out to achieve with minimal pain. I've been able to achieve them though. My advice for veterans and really anybody, civilians alike, that are struggling with moral, mental, or physical injuries that they just can't seem to shake. It's an everyday challenge, I would say. Like, it takes consistency, it takes constant work. You can't just sit around and expect it to get better on its own. They say that time heals all wounds, but it's really what you do with that time that heals you. You got to take care of yourself to be able to take care of other people, to be able to take care of your family. And taking that first step to ask for help or reach out, like talking about it and not holding these things in and being able to share something that's so vulnerable, you wouldn't realize how much of an impact it has on other people's lives because they realize they're not alone.